فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا لعلكم ترحمون. And if the Quran is being recited, listen to it, pay attention, for you may receive the mercy. If we could please welcome Brother Muhammad and Salah ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين بالقسط شهداء لله ولو على أنفسكم أو الوالدين والأقربين إن يكن غنيا أو فقيرا فالله أولى بهما فلا تتبعوا الهوى أن تعدلوا وإن تلووا أو تعرضوا فإن الله كان بما تعملون خبيرا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله والكتاب الذي نزل على رسوله والكتاب الذي أنزل من قبل ومن يكفر بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر فقد ضل ضلالا بعيدا. إن الذين آمنوا ثم كفروا ثم آمنوا ثم كفروا ثم ازدادوا كفرا لما يكن الله ليغفر لهم ولا ليهديهم سبيلا. بشر المنافقين بأن لهم عذابا عليما الذين يتخذون الكافرين أولياء من دون المؤمنين أيبتغون عندهم العزة فإن العزة لله جميعا. وقد نزل عليكم في الكتاب أن إذا سمعتم آيات الله يكفر بها ويستهزأ بها فلا تقعدوا معهم حتى يخوضوا في حديث غيره إنكم إذا مثلهم إن الله جامع المنافقين والكافرين في جهنم جميعا. الذين يتربصون بكم فإن كان لكم فتح من الله قالوا ألم نكن معكم وإن كان للكافرين نصيب قالوا ألم نستحوذ عليكم ونمنعكم من المؤمنين فالله يحكم بينكم يوم القيامة ولن يجعل الله للكافرين على المؤمنين سبيلا إن المنافقين يخادعون الله وهو خادعهم وإذا قاموا إلى الصلاة قاموا كسالى يراءون الناس ولا يذكرون الله إلا قليلا مذبذبين بين ذلك لا إله هؤلاء ولا إله هؤلاء ومن يضلل الله فلن تجد له سبيلا يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تتخذوا الكافرين أولياء من دون المؤمنين أتريدون أن تجعلوا لله عليكم سلطانا مبينا إن المنافقين في الدرك الأسفل من النار ولن تجد لهم نصيرا صدق الله العلي العظيم
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Such beautiful recitation of last in the Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. ألا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب. Verily, by the remembrance of Allah, the hearts are reassured. Research across disciplines has evidenced that young adulthood is a crucial time for identity development, which is related to the both individual and collective well-being through connection to peers and family. Minority status, which we could say we are a part of, may be a critical component of identity development, particularly because of its association with experiences of discrimination and cultural isolation, or even other factors. Through experiences of discrimination, negative media publicity, and its associated consequences for the minority group we belong to, there has been general negative outcomes for Muslim youth. Muslim youth identity has become a dominant problem, particularly in the Western society, and has been identified as an emerging greater issue. Today's event, therefore, is about understanding the importance of this issue and the challenges faced by us, the youth, and the lack of awareness, unfortunately, amongst the adults and our parents. We have organized this conference so that we can discuss and raise awareness in regards to this issue and try to identify some remedies which could be put into practice We thank each and every single one of you for participating in our event today and hope that it is useful for you in one way or another. Alhamdulillah, we have well-known, well-accomplished and experienced speakers with us who will be talking to us and discussing with us a number of these points in details. Our first speaker, Sayyid Ali RAZA, is an Islamic scholar. He was born in Lahore, Pakistan, and raised in Birmingham, UK. His initial religious education began in Birmingham. He then moved to Qom for further Islamic studies. He has studied in the Hausa for several years and graduated in 1998 with dual masters in Islamic studies and Arabic. He has given lectures all around the world in more than 30 countries. He has written and translated several books to English. He is the immediate past president of Majlis Ulama Shia in Europe. Amongst other initiatives of this Majlis, he has organized many camps for the Shia community, including special camps for the youth and students. We are very fortunate to have him with us today, and if we could please recite Allah Salawat to welcome him to the podium.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين بالقاسم محمد وعلى الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين لا سيما بقية الله الكريمين روحي وأرواح العالمين التي ترابط أما بعد السلام عليكم. When I think about my past, when I think about 1990s, when I was probably your age, probably in the 80s and 90s, it just seems like around the corner, not very far, just in 20 years. But I'm now being in religious education and serving as student of Islam and then serving as community leader. My children are growing up, so I can see the different phases human beings go through. Just like social psychology has divided the human life into many different parts, likewise Islam has also divided our life into many different parts. There are theories by Freud, probably some of you going to colleges and universities, different psychology, social psychology, you would see his theory of dividing human life into 5 parts, and then Eric Erikson, an American psychologist, who divided the human life into 8 parts. Islam also has gone into dividing the human life, but not from childbirth, but from the time when the parents decide that they want to be together. So your life basically begins at the time of conceivement, and then during the womb, after birth, early stages up to the age of 3, up to the age of 7, and all of those stages that you go through, and you learn. The Holy Quran says that we took you out of the wombs of your mothers, when you were born from the wombs of your mothers, you did not know anything. It is we who taught you. Islam, when describing the human brain and human identity, he says that you think that your beginning was from a small, very small beginning, but fika alun akbar, like a germ? No. You have the entire universe hidden in you. But the most beautiful hadith that all the scholars always use is from the Holy Prophet, that you all probably have heard of. Whoever knows himself knows his Lord. Now you need to explore, what does it mean that you know yourself and then you would know the Lord? There are 2 aspects to the human life. One are your spiritual abilities and capabilities, and the other are your physical abilities. Psychologically, our spiritual abilities can be developed into enormous powers. And that is our real identity. And religion is all about spirit. Body is important, so you should not eat haram, you should not do sins. That's one aspect. But the real power and the real strength lies in your spirit. Many times you work, you do the workout and everything to strengthen your body, but your spirit and your soul is struggling. What is the real identity of the human being? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that this world will perish. It's only here for a trial. The real world is the hereafter. Now we find the Western world doing exactly the opposite. They tell us that everything is this world. You're born for this world, you will die for this world, you have to live for this world. It has to be a career, housing, and everything is all materialistic. And life begins at 40. Many times they say life begins at 40, so meaning enjoy yourself up to 40, and after 40 enjoy yourself even more, because now you're mature. Before you were immature, you were making mistakes. Islam says no, even from very early stages, Islam is from the age of 6 and 7, you now can differentiate between good and evil. Differentiation comes from a very early stage, when a person can differentiate between good and evil. That begins from the age of 6 and 7. Some traditions mention that when people mature early, from the age of 6, but most of the time people can differentiate. They can differentiate between good and bad from the age of 7. Now you're all now coming to an age where you are adults. From in Islam, you're not 18 like in the British system and 21 in the American system, and I'm not sure about Australian, 18 before the British system. You don't become an adult at 18. Islam says as soon as you become valid, you're an adult, and your parents should treat you with, I'm not going to talk about how your parents should treat you, I'll tell them how they should treat you. But you need to take, when they should treat you like an adult, what you need to do is you need to take a lot more responsibility. And Islam is not about all rights. Islam is all about responsibility. You only demand your rights when you think that you are deprived of. So it's all about responsibilities. Now, what is the real identity, Muslim identity in the 21st century, living in a Western country or an advanced country like Australia and confusions? Many times parents think that you guys are confused. I don't think you guys are confused. You guys are Western. Just like myself. I don't fit in when I go back to Asian countries. I don't fit in. I don't think I can live in Pakistan now. Even though I was born there, but because from a very young age I've always lived outside Pakistan, I can associate with people there. I feel myself that I'm a misfit in that society. Why am I misfit? Because I was always outside and the system is different, run differently. Now, I'm not trying to confuse you, but I'm trying to teach you to explore yourself and see how do you live Islam? How do you live Islam in this part of the world? What is the real identity? What is real Islam? Now, many times there may be cultural clashes between your parents' upbringing and your upbringing. The Western world is all about openness, all about independence, all about being, I don't use any words that, because there are many Cambodians, all about feeling not only just free, but also feeling that I'm feeling good inside. And that goodness has many question marks on it. What sort of goodness do you feel? So what is that identity? That's what I want to define. Never be confused. Do not have hypocrisy. Parents may build a lot of pressure on you, but you need to explore yourself and say it has to come from inside. The dual identity would make you a hypocrite if you do not make it come from inside. So tell yourself that I need to respect, not just because they are telling you to, but it has to come from inside. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from you. So it shouldn't be just a showcase. Unfortunately, I've seen in America and in Britain, because it's the third generation, my generation, second generation, my father came to Britain in 1966, 10 and 11 years before I was born. My children are now born and brought up in England. So the third generation is now growing up. Unfortunately, what happened in my generation is that 80% of the people in Britain are now lost. 80% of the people from my generation, unfortunately, we lost them. That generation got lost because they had nothing Islamic in the 60s and 70s to associate with. And our parents went through very tough time developing mosques, religious centers, a lot of food stores, all of those things that you did in Islamic society, graveyards and everything, they did all of that hard work for us. So we don't have to do everything. That generation did it. So we need to explore what is our responsibility. We need to understand what is my responsibility. What is that identity that I'm trying to get to? Do I have everyone's attention so far? Yes. Islam says in our movement, I usually say brothers and sisters, sometimes now as my children are growing up, I sometimes address as children. To your age group, I'm old enough to be your uncle, or not only just an older brother, but also my children are not growing up. So I feel that you're my children's age. What is that identity, Muslim identity? Muslim identity is that you need to explore your inner self and strengthen your relationship with, there are 5 relations in Islam, if I could say that. One is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your first relation is with Allah. And that is with ibadat, recognition, and the biggest ibadat is not only just to pray and fast, but to think about the signs of God. كَانَ أَكْثَرُ عِبَادَةِ أَبِي ذَرٍ التَّفَكُّرُ فِي آلَاءِ اللَّهِ. The greatest ibadat and worship of Abu Dharr al-Ghifari was not to just pray and fast, but to think and ponder and contemplate on the signs of Allah. So we need to contemplate. Now, many times I struggle because of the information that you have here on 2 tables. You need to think more. You need to contemplate more. And when you think and contemplate, you try and realize who are your friends and who are your enemies. Who are taking you to God and who are taking you away from God. The Imam al-Islam says, your greatest friend and your best friend is he who, whenever you look at him or look at her, reminds you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, takes you closer to Allah, takes you closer to the Prophet, takes you closer to the Imam of your time. And your biggest problem is the one who takes you away from all of those. You see and you see, yes, I can get rid of everything that I have, I don't have to pray, I don't have to fast, and I am into dunya. Many times when I go through, some city centers, CET, or what do you call it? In America, downtown, and Britain will say city center. Now, there is, the dunya is so attractive that you don't want to do anything, games, sports, and everything you want to do, it's all. Those are not against Islamic teachings. They're all a part of your life. But they should not become the purpose of your life. They're all there to make you healthy, physically, mentally, and psychologically. Spiritually, to strengthen you. But the real aim is not or any of those things. We are not created for wasting our time in vain and for just playing around. Playing is very good. Even 2 hours a day you can spend playing. But then again, you should contemplate as well. Even 5 minutes a day, thinking all by yourself. Have you heard of the term personal space? Personal space, anyone heard of? Okay. Now, in American psychology, there is a term, human beings are social animals. We like to be in company of other people. We like to be amongst other people. But you always need personal space. Why do you need personal space for? To think about your own self. You need time alone with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, away from people. So in Islam, it is highly recommended to do the obligatory prayers together in congregation, but you do your mustahabbat all by yourself. You sit down and you communicate with Allah. You talk to Allah. You build a relationship between you and Allah. And for that, at least 5 minutes a day, you need. In the beginning, you can start with 2 to 3 minutes, but you need at least 5 minutes. And that spiritual relationship is extremely important. If you don't have the 5 minutes, then later on in life, when you come into 30s and 40s, you will struggle with life. You will not have a strong relationship, and you will struggle how to communicate with the rest of the people. So the first relationship with Allah. So far, can I develop further if you guys are all paying attention? Yes? So first relationship is with Allah. Second is with the Prophet and Imam, the religious authorities, with the Holy Quran. Quran is also an authority. If you want to see how close you will be to the Prophet ﷺ, you need to see how close you are to the Quran. Okay? The Holy Quran, the Holy Quran. So you need to have a relationship with the Holy Quran. This Quran, how often do I use a gadget, a mobile phone or something and how often do I pick up the Holy Quran in life? So at least once every day before you go to bed. The best thing, the scholar says, early morning. But unfortunately, early mornings do not exist many times. You just get up, have a shower, take breakfast and run to school or college. But in Islam, you should get up early and there is a plan for the day and there is a plan for the night. So you should have a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during the night, pray, read Quran. Early morning Quran is the best time for recitation, but if you do not find early morning time, then at night, just before you go to sleep, at least spend some time, a page from the Holy Quran, or at least half a page every day. Reading habits are very important. Islam encourages reading. So at least half a page from the Holy Quran. Get a small copy so you don't have, if you have a large copy of the Holy Quran, then you have to read one page will be 5-10 minutes. You can get a small copy, but at least read half a page, even 2-3 minutes, and think what those verses mean. So religious authorities, that's your second relationship. Third relationship is with your family members, especially with your parents. They have responsibility towards us. They spent a lot of time developing us, and they have a lot of expectations. Especially the parents that came from other countries to this country, they have spent a lot of time. They have made a lot of sacrifices just for your future. I can see people from different backgrounds. People who came from India, Pakistan, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, now Syria. You don't know what they have gone through to bring you to this part of the world, so you could have a secure, safe, and better future. They've gone through a lot of difficulties to bring you up, and for your safety, for your security, they've sacrificed everything. Now, do we really realize what they've gone through? So sometimes they sometimes want to tell us, it is important to listen to them, that what we went through. And they've gone through a lot of crises to bring you to where you are. Now, they expect you to show respect and love and care for what they've done for you. And many times we forget. And you know what? The Western world says, your parents don't know. And the children will tell you that, Dad, you don't understand. When do you understand that the parents did understand? When you have your own children. When your children are growing up and they say to you, turn around and say, Dad, you don't understand. Then you realize actually my dad did understand. When I'm a father, now I'm doing exactly the same things that he was telling me. Do this, do that. But you don't realize that. So you think your parents are ordering you around. Many times they are, but it's for your own good. You try to stop a child from doing something wrong for their own good. Do you ever stop a child trying to place his hand or her hand in fire? Have you seen that? Children want to touch anything glowing, something fleshy. So you try and stop them because they'll hurt themselves. When you're growing up, because they've gone through similar phases in life, they've seen that you'll get hurt, you'll have problems if you do certain things, they try and stop you. After a certain age, after about, in Islam, 14, 15, 16, that age, you are mature enough to understand those things. And if you're not, then you should be. You should be able to understand those things better. But Islam says after 21, Imam Islam says, there's a hadith, very quickly I'll say this hadith. Imam Islam says that your children, when you're bringing them up, divide their life into 3 parts. First 7 years, they're your masters. Next 7 years, they are your servants. And the last 7 years, they are your friends. And they said, well, what do we do after 21? He said, well, they've already become what they've become. They're your friends and they're your friends. Otherwise, sometimes they're your masters, sometimes they are your servants. So they've already become. And in many parts of the world, they say after 12, 13, children have already decided we are masters, we make all the decisions. I'm not going to the Majlis. I'm not going to my uncle's house. I'm not going to so. I'm not going to watch this, I'm watching something else. So they make the decision for the parents. They've done all the hard work and now they have to listen to you. You make the decisions, you tell them what to watch. And my children do that with my parents. I don't listen to them, but my parents are very soft. They'll just, okay, what do you want to watch? And I said, no, don't listen to them. Do whatever you want. No, I'm not let them. Because my father usually just changes the channels, or let the girls watch what they want to watch. So they quickly change the cartoons, whatever. I don't ever listen. So I said, no, look, you've had your 2 hours, it's now my 2 hours. So you go and do your homework now. So we need to understand that they all need their own space. What we're trying to do is, we want to run the house while it's not our house. We are there because we should be respectful to our parents and to the other members of the household. So sometimes you will sit down and watch 6 hours of television. God forbid. There should be a limit for everything that you do. Playing, and many times you're just basically couch potatoes. Has that term used here? Okay, well you understand. Couch potatoes basically are symptoms of heart disease, diabetes, sitting on television, holding a remote. No movement, only eyes and ears, 2 things used. No brain being used. You think, no, yes, I'm using them. No, you're not using your brain. It's only feeding information, and it's telling you, it's basically making you function like a machine, picking up all the information, that's how you have to live, that's what you have to do. And all of those soap operas are the biggest mistakes that people have done. They have destroyed your life through soap operas. And all of them never ever good. I'm telling you from a psychological point of view, not from a religious point of view only, but also from a psychological point of view. They're telling you a lifestyle. Do not listen to them. Make your own lifestyle. Do not become machines. You're not born as machines. Islam is all about nature, not about mechanism. You're not machines. Do not have information fed into your mind. Look outside the box. Islam says contemplate and think. Now, there were many different things that I wanted to talk about, but time has very quickly passed. What is self? 4 dimensions that you must think on. I had started off those relations, so I want to very quickly complete and then develop the 4 relations that you have. So with God, with religious authorities, with your relatives. The other relationship is with the society, with all other members, your friends, teachers, classmates, other human beings. You have a responsibility and a relationship with all of them. And the 5th relationship is with the environment, with animals, plants, and everything. I cannot just go around throwing grapes or anything like that. Everything has a responsibility. I have a responsibility towards everything, and these all have right over me. We need to live a perfect example. So these are the 5 relations that I wanted to talk about, and 4 things you need to adapt in life. Those are, Islam says that if you do not have them, then you are weak in faith, and you need to explore yourself. Am I really a generous person? Am I miserly? If you're miserly, then you need to get rid of that bad habit. Miserliness is a really bad habit in Islam. Islam extremely discourages miserliness. You need to be generous in life. Can I just say those 4 things if everyone is listening? Those 4 things that you need to be, Islam says you have to be these 4. 1, generous. You shouldn't be miserly. Number 2, you should be just. Or in England we usually say being fair. Okay, fair in life. I'm not sure what the term. Okay. When children usually say, you're not fair to me, meaning you're not adil. In Arabic we say adala. Yes? Sahaba, the second one is adala. You need to be just, you need to be fair with everyone. Fairness is the 2 extremes of fairness and the 2 extremes of generosity. Miserliness and extravagance. Both are forbidden in Islam. Extravagance is forbidden and miserliness is forbidden. You need to be generous. Do not waste, but do not be miserly. Be generous. Number 2, be fair in your life. Be just. Justice means that you shouldn't ever oppress others. When you give a dirty look to someone, would you do that to? Someone who's weaker. If someone was much stronger than you, you know that if you give them a dirty look, they'll take your eyes out. Yes? So you only do that to the people who are weaker than you. Never ever oppress anyone. Don't be a zalim ever in life. And do not take oppression.